Picture the moment you decide you can no longer walk on eggshells in your marriage. The silent dinners, the snide remarks disguised as jokes, the emotional exhaustion of trying to please someone who seems impossible to satisfy. You reflect back on how, in the early days, your spouse was magnetic, charming you with big promises of unwavering love. Yet somewhere between the tears and self-doubts, your entire sense of reality shifted. This is part 3 of our deep dive series on narcissism in love and family, and we'll be venturing into the frightening territory of lost identity in a narcissistic relationship. By the end of this video, you'll not only grasp how narcissists systematically erode your personal authenticity, but also gain practical strategies to unmask their illusions and protect your individuality. Now, why should you stick around for this entire video? Simple. Because the slow drain of a narcissistic partner's demands can transform a once vibrant, confident you into a confused, emotionally fatigued shell of your former self. Understanding how that unraveling occurs, and how to effectively reclaim yourself, offers more than just emotional relief. It can save your career, your friendships, and even your children's well-being if you're a parent. If at any point something in this video resonates powerfully, do me a favor, type "I'm reclaiming myself" in the comments. That single phrase might give another viewer the courage to do the same. Ready to dive in? Let's confront the illusions, manipulations, and heartbreak that come with living under the same roof as a narcissist, and let's find the keys to break free. Because the cost of staying silent is simply too high, and you deserve a voice that roars with self-awareness and unwavering self-respect. Let's begin with a real-life story. Adam once considered himself a go-getter, a man who loved cooking complex recipes, volunteering on weekends, and huddling with close friends over game nights. When he met Marissa, she seemed to appreciate all those quirks. She joined him in the kitchen, or at least she pretended to. She humored his love for board games, seeming eager to hang out with his circle of friends. Adam felt blessed. Had he found someone who actually adored him for who he was? But soon after the wedding, everything changed. Marissa would raise an eyebrow if Adam tried to cook something complicated. "Why waste so much time? We could just eat out if you want good food," she'd say dismissively. She'd pick at his choice of clothes, roll her eyes at the way he'd greet the neighbors. She'd say, "You're too eager to please. Nobody respects a pushover." Gradually, Adam noticed that whenever he planned to meet friends, she'd find reasons to keep him home. "I don't feel well. The car tire seems off. Don't you care about me?" One by one, his social ties got severed. Then came the accusations: "You never loved me enough. You love those random people more than me. You're a disappointment. You should do more with your life. Don't be such a child." By the time Adam realized what was happening, his self-esteem was in shambles. He found himself apologizing for being himself, apologizing for cooking, for wearing bright colors, for talking to his own brother too often. He became a shadow, passing through each day with minimal presence just to avoid conflicts. So what is Adam's story telling us? That narcissists rarely show their controlling side in the early days. They let you blossom and give you illusions that they're enthralled by your uniqueness. Once they've established you as their possession, they begin systematically dismantling everything that once made you you. The heartbreak is that you often don't see it until you're neck deep in the routine, carrying the weight of day-to-day manipulations. If Adam's journey stirs any echoes of recognition in you, comment "I see Adam in me," so we can collectively see how universal these stories are. Why do narcissists start off so receptive, so seemingly supportive, only to morph into scathing critics later? A big reason is a tactic psychologists refer to as mirroring. During the idealization phase, some call it the love-bombing phase, the narcissist invests energy in studying you, your hobbies, your humor, your insecurities. They do this to create an illusion of a perfect partner, somebody who, coincidentally, loves the same shows, artists, or food as you do. But it's not about genuine shared passions, it's about hooking you. Once you're emotionally invested, the mask slowly slips. Why do they do it? Because controlling someone's worldview and identity is the ultimate power trip. In a healthy love scenario, you share differences. Maybe you prefer soul music while your partner loves heavy metal, and that's okay. But in a narcissistic relationship, your differences become ammunition. You have weird music tastes, they might say. No wonder nobody else at the party wanted to talk about your favorite band. Over time, these little microaggressions shape your behavior. You stop bringing your music up. You stop cooking your favorite cuisines. You mention less about your friend group or skip your long runs in the morning. The heartbreak in all of this isn't just that they're not who they pretended to be. It's that you lose yourself. You might look at a role model, maybe someone like the actress Hilary Duff, who once shared about having to stand her ground on personal values when the industry tried to mold her into something else. That sense of personal alignment becomes crucial. People like Duff recognized early that, I have to keep my sense of self, or I'll get devoured by these external opinions. But a narcissist thrives on devouring that sense of self. They do it partly to avoid dealing with their own deeply buried shame. By diminishing you, they get to shine by default. They can say, look, you're the unrefined one. You're the incompetent one. That's why the relationship is off balance, not me. If illusions and false mirrorings are at the heart of how narcissists operate, the question remains, how can we break the reflection? Let's move to the next segment. Manipulation is not always shouting or blatant orders. Often, it's subtle. A narcissistic partner might phrase it like a question, are you sure you want to wear that? Don't you remember how Becky side-eyed your outfit last time? Or, you really still chat with your college pals? Seems childish for a married man, no. These remarks don't sound like direct attacks, but they're seeding self-doubt. Then there's triangulation, a particularly potent form of manipulation. The narcissist might consistently compare you to someone else, an ex-partner, a cousin who's ultra-successful, or even an imaginary coworker, using lines like, it's interesting how my coworker's spouse is so supportive. He never complains about her hours. Why do they do this? Because it triggers your competitiveness or your anxiety to hold the relationship stable, driving you to conform to what they want. The heartbreak intensifies because you begin feeling, I'm never enough, never quite measuring up to these mythical standards. To navigate manipulation, experts suggest creating mental red flag alerts. Think, if you find yourself justifying your actions constantly, if you feel compelled to hide your true preferences, or if you dread being honest about small details, these are signs. That's where heartbreak saturates your day-to-day life, turning each morning into a negotiation of how you'll adapt to keep the peace. Picture how exhausting that is. Possibly you've already felt it. If you're currently grappling with that exhaustion, share in the comments, I'm drained, but I see the game now. That single statement might help you come to terms with the slow, creeping heartbreak. You might ask, so is the heartbreak simply inevitable if you stick around? Not necessarily, but without addressing your partner's behavior, often via professional therapy or strict boundary setting, the heartbreak deepens. Some couples do salvage a relationship if the narcissistic partner genuinely commits to therapy, but it's extremely rare. More commonly, people use boundaries to reduce the daily emotional harm. However, boundaries do not always mend a fundamentally broken dynamic, they just keep you from losing your entire identity in the process. As heartbreak festers, a wide gulf can form between your old self, once adventurous, curious, and optimistic, and your new self, possibly anxious, subdued, and hypervigilant. The heartbreak is about more than losing your partner's approval, it's about losing the sense of possibility you once carried. Let's label that heartbreak for what it is, a grief for the self that was sidelined. Take a practical step, write 2 letters. One from your past self, the version of you recall from before this relationship, addressing your present self with empathy. Let your younger self, maybe from 5 or 10 years ago, describe the dreams, hopes, and joyful moments that once gave you life. Then, write a second letter, from your present self back to that younger self. This exercise can unlock your voice, letting you see that heartbreak's pain is partly about letting your authentic, creative, or spontaneous side go dormant. Another powerful step is limiting contact with your narcissistic partner if you're separated or divorced. Perhaps that means parallel parenting or minimal text-only communication about necessary logistics if kids are involved. If you're still living together, some counselors endorse a gray rock method, giving minimal emotional reaction so the narcissist has nothing to latch onto. However, let's be clear, heartbreak cannot truly heal if emotional manipulation continues unchecked. This heartbreak is often an ongoing, weeping wound rather than a one-time event. What's striking, however, is that many who've extricated themselves from such relationships say that once the heartbreak cleared, they discovered an amazing sense of emotional liberation. Freed from daily hostility, they revived old hobbies, reconnected with old friends, traveled again, or found new creative outlets. The heartbreak had ironically become the birthplace of renewed personal growth. A well-known example is singer Tina Turner, who left an abusive, controlling relationship. The heartbreak was colossal, yes, but that heartbreak became a catalyst for her unstoppable solo career. Similarly, your heartbreak might become a defining chapter in your personal transformation. The heartbreak is real, but so is the potential for a dazzling new beginning. When heartbreak from narcissistic illusions hits, self-care often becomes an afterthought. You might be struggling with insomnia, changes in appetite, or an inability to concentrate. Standard heartbreak can already cause these symptoms, but narcissistic heartbreak can amplify them. So how do we weave self-care into the healing tapestry? Micro-habits: instead of forcing dramatic life changes, start small. Maybe you take a 5-minute mindful breathing break at lunchtime or commit to a single healthy meal a day if you've neglected your diet. Refuse to self-isolate. Heartbreak loves isolation, it thrives on shame. Force yourself to do a quick FaceTime with a supportive friend or say yes to a short coffee meetup. Even a 10-minute chat can remind you that you exist beyond this heartbreak, that there's a world out there that values you. Gentle movement: if you can't muster a full workout, fine. Walk. Stretch. Yoga in your living room. The heartbreak can feel physically heavy, and movement physically signals your body, we're still alive, we're not giving up. Affirmations that stick: at the close of each day, put your phone aside and speak out loud a single sentence capturing your progress. For instance, I recognized a manipulative text from them and chose not to respond with guilt. Notice the shift in your emotional posture after you say that. And if you slip, like texting them at 2 a.m. or dwelling in self-blame for half a day, recognize that heartbreak is cyclical. Relapses happen. Each slip is a lesson, not a failure. Identify the emotional trigger that caused it, and build a plan to respond differently next time. Over time, heartbreak no longer dominates your mental landscape but becomes a reference point for your personal resilience. As we wrap this up, let's remember, heartbreak in a narcissistic relationship isn't just about losing a partner, it's about losing yourself in a labyrinth of illusions, manipulations, and second-guessing. But heartbreak can also be an unexpected doorway, one that leads you back to your authentic voice and to a deeper appreciation of your own strengths. Yes, heartbreak here cuts deeper, because it requires you to mourn not only the love you thought you had but also the clarity you used to carry with you. If you take away just one gem from today's video, make it this: heartbreak does not signify the end of love or hope. It's the beginning of a second chance with yourself, a chance to treat yourself with the empathy and validation you tried so hard to gain from the wrong person. If you're ready to embrace that chance, type in the comments, "Healing is my second chance." Let's fill this comments section with declarations of resilience. Thank you for joining me for part 3 of our series on narcissism in love and marriage. Your heartbreak is valid, your confusion is real, but so is your capacity to heal. If you found these insights worthwhile, click the like button right now. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe for more insights on navigating narcissism, rebuilding from heartbreak, and forging a life that resonates with your truth. Together, we're not just surviving heartbreak, we're transforming it into the stepping stone for a braver, bolder love, beginning with the love you give yourself.